One. All right. All right, children, back to your corners. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's the Yard Sign coming to you once again. We do this every couple weeks. We're actually, we're going to start doing this thing on a weekly basis. So thank you so much for watching. Again, it's a weekly show where we talk about mostly politics, some pop culture, and our own personal drama in there, sprinkled in here and there. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, if you're watching this on the Tampa Bay Young Republicans page, you can also follow us at facebook.com/theyardsign and on Twitter as well, twitter.com/theyardsign. Joining me, as always, is our amazing panel. So let's go ahead and make the rounds. Let's see. The leg chair.
Not appropriate.
Oh my goodness. We're going to be talking about toxic masculinity, as a matter of fact. Why is this frame square? I don't even know why this camera's squared, but we'll go with it anyways.
Looks great.
Oh, here we go. I hit the... Thank you. Oh, there you are. Hey. So, to our from left to right, we got Parker,
Hi.
Cassie,
Hello.
and then over to the big desk, joining us once again, Jake.
How's it going?
How you doing, sexy?
Just great job.
It's the shirt. It's the shirt.
And Jody, as always. Yeah. Have you missed a show, Jody?
I have not missed a show yet.
Look at that. Awesome.
I will next week, though. I'll be in Chicago.
Oh, look at that. And bring me some hot dogs. And Neville, have you missed a show? You haven't missed a show either.
Only when I'm not invited.
Oh.
It was like the first one or
Yeah.
two we didn't invite you.
No, it's fine.
I missed a show.
Oh my God.
That's right. Cassie's been here throughout.
I won the award too.
And then now we got the stalker cam, up in the corner there. So get our whole panel when things get rowdy. Got the aerial shot.
It is looking more and more official.
Yeah.
Like, this
So-
is legit.
Now we can
Yeah.
see, yell at each other and not have to worry about the screen.
Big shout out to our studio for their amazing remodeling of looking pretty amazing. And so, all right, so we've got a laundry list of issues we're going to talk about today. Anibal likes to geek out on the international issues, so we'll start with that. Because I don't think we're going to get very far on those issues today. We got some other more fun stuff to talk about later on. Anibal, what you got cooking?
The bore of international politics.
Oh, wah wah.
It's fine. We get our $12 shoes and $2.50 gas. It's fine.
Do you buy $12 shoes?
So the topics that normally we do a 3-topic tier, but
Mine are 15, by the way. I get them at Costco. Thank you very much. Don't hate.
it's the children from Mexico that do his shoes.
That's right.
So really, my points for today are in regards to the Iranian bombings of the tankers that are still being disputed, but internationally are completely supportive that they were the ones that caused that problem. There is the uproar and then the conclusion, surprisingly, of the Hong Kong uprising for the extradition. I know. It's China. Sending people out to the mainland China, and then Venezuela is always in the news, but I think that's going to be in the news for a while. So those are really my 3 points. But in regards to Iran, I think the most interesting aspect of that situation this time around is the fact that instead of gas prices going up, gas prices went down, which harpens to a bigger conversation that we are as less dependent on foreign oil than we ever have been before. So that means the reaction to a stunt like that did not cause the same reaction that it did 25 years ago, which all of us do not remember, was the oil embargo from OPEC during that time when we were also negotiating with the Iranians, and that caused gas to spike almost 70% of what it was at that time. So the fact that there was a differential conclusion to that is really surprising a lot of economists and political people around the world, because that means the United States doesn't really need to get involved in that much of the Middle East anymore if it's not affecting our gas prices. And if it doesn't affect normal Americans, we're not going to get involved.
But is it not affecting our gas prices because we altered with our reserves and now we're using up some of our own? Or is it not affecting our gas prices because it really won't have an impact?
So there are multiple reasons why it's not affecting our gas prices as much as we think. One is Shell. Fracking is something that's taken up a lot of supply. We're doing more drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. So a lot of our supplies are no longer dependent that much in oil coming from the Middle East. We get a lot more from other parts of the world, and a lot of it's domestic now, which means, again, a big shock like that will not cause a huge problem for the U.S. consumer. It will cause a huge problem for Europeans and in the Asian communities, countries, but nowhere near where it was in the 80s.
But in the long run, we'll start to see the effects of that if it continues, if we're using up our domestic.
No,
No?
we have enough reserves to last us years. So,
Okay.
and that's another thing. Again, Peter, I don't remember his name, but it's Peter. It starts with a Z. He does a lot of international discussions and talks about how as the U.S. becomes more independent energy-wise and infrastructure-wise, and we become more scarcity is no longer a thing, the U.S. will back out of a lot of international trade and trade agreements and international military agreements because it's no longer advantageous for America to be involved in these things. So as that continues, yes, America will continue to strive and continue to prosper, but that causes repercussions on other countries because America doesn't want to get involved.
So that makes sense why there's a video of them putting that bomb on the side of the ship. And the ship matches the exact kind of ship. Like you look at like the front nose of the ship and the shape of it, even in the dark shadow that you can barely tell, matches the Iranian like Coast Guard, whatever they call it, ships exactly. And so it's on video. They did it. You can see it. But when you see Asian leaders talking about it, they go, oh, no, it was not Iran. So what you just said makes so much sense. If they need the oil,
Mm-hmm. They're
And
going
we
to keep
don't.
that relationship.
right.
Yeah.
And there's also a bigger thing that they were in the back channels. Iran was upset that it was a Japanese-owned tanker because they didn't assume it was, because if a lot of large tankers fly under the Panamanian or some of the smaller countries, so they don't have to pay as big of fees. So when someone attacks it, they think it's from one of those countries when really it's usually owned by another big country like Japan. And having the Japanese minister there in Iran at the time, in Tehran, was a huge like slap in the face to the Ayatollah. So it looks, Iran doesn't know what to do to get our attention. This is a 12-year-old throwing a temper tantrum
They
in Publix.
only have one move, right? I mean,
Nuclear.
it's nuclear weapons. I mean, that's like the only thing that they can do. It's their only, I mean, their only bargaining chip.
Yeah.
So it's also like you said, it's kind of like they're just throwing a little temper tantrum a little bit because there's a that's the only thing they can do.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out how far they can push with a new parent. And that, I think, really is what Trump has become, is the new parent to a lot of countries. And so now, what do you do to get the attention of the U.S. when they no longer need the only thing you have?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, with Korea, what did we have? They had the nuclear weapon, and that's what they've been pushing the whole time. With Iran, they have oil and everything else. But when we no longer need their oil, and we no longer care about their oil, like, what else do they need? Well, international, like, war is what will drag us back in. But we went into World War II kicking and screaming last time. So, like, and that was after years of isolationism. So I agree with the president in regards to what he's doing diplomatically internationally. I don't want to get into wars. I would rather flex our economic muscles than our the military. However, that kind of action leads into if you're not going to engage and we don't need you anymore, then we're just going to become isolationists, and then the world goes to hell in a handbasket 10 years later. So,
Well, that's the dumbest part about the whole narrative from the Democratic side, is that they're trying to say that he's trying to start a war, basically, to shore up, support coming into this election, and I think it would actually be the contrary. I think it would work against him, if anything.
So I think that from a campaign standpoint, what I think Trump's doing, not just with this issue but all the issues, is that he's taking anything that has another president's name on it, so things like NAFTA and like the Iran deal, especially things that have Obama's name on them, and he's just like, I've been joking around saying this, that like if he could change like one word instead of calling it like the Obama deal, and then he can call it the Trump deal, and he can come back to voters in 2020 and say, I renegotiated this deal. People don't actually know the like specifics of international
deal.
deals.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean, most of us that are in the political sphere don't even understand the nuances of all of these different deals. So if he can come back and put his name on it and brand it as like, look at what I did. I took down Obama's terrible deal, and now I have this great deal. I mean, one word could be changed really, but he's going to come back and tell people he did it, and that's he's going to go down the checklist and basically say like, look at all the different things that I did that wasn't working, now it's working, and whether you agree with they are or not working, I think that's what's going to happen from a campaign standpoint.
All right. See how much fun that was? Thanks, Anibal.
I liked it. I'm sorry.
It was very educational. I
Yeah,
didn't
man.
know with the whole oil thing,
Yeah.
because if my gas prices go up, I get very upset about it. Well, I don't drive anymore. So that's fine.
I mean, we could talk
Still
about
driven.
the U.S. debt, and we can talk about the renegotiation of interest rates. But I don't.
All right, real quick. Why don't you spare us and give us the elevator pitch on what's happening with Hong Kong?
Oh, Hong Kong also threw a tantrum and tantrum. I can't speak to it. Threw a hissy fit, and the parent blinked, and so odds are a new parent is going to have to replace the current leader of Hong Kong. And I think it was a really good show. Almost 2 million people showed up into the streets. It hasn't been
protest ever in the history of modern time.
Correct.
Like recorded history.
correct.
Like,
It
some shit I've
hasn't.
never seen
It hasn't been that big since Hong Kong actually switched from Great Britain to to Chinese rule in 1997. So that was a great example of democracy, of protest, of showing that if something. And again, the reason why they protested is because they fear for religious and political persecution from the mainland of taking. Because right now there isn't really a way to get someone back into Hong Kong or out of Hong Kong. They don't have those kind of agreements with the countries.
So-
And that's what they wanted with China.
And then you kind of come into an interesting issue too, because now you have this is happening, and then you have also like a communist regime over there that is kind of like suppressing it a little bit, and suppressing the news and suppressing like what gets out, which is why there's another issue of like the Huawei phones that we ban them, and we don't allow them sold in the U.S. because of kind of the back end that's built in that the Chinese government can get inside. And so it's a scary time what they're doing, like that Black Mirror episode of like
I was about to say that, yes.
like the social, they're doing the social ranking and stuff like
It's
that,
social credits
and all that kind of stuff. And like it's a very scary like place that we're kind of getting close to over there, because it's like, and it's good to see that like there was a protest and it got out and people were informed that it actually happened. And but again, like the government kind of like coming in and I think maybe editing photos or doing something where that we're not at that point yet, but that's something that I think is an interesting thing to kind of discuss what route we're going down when you see these type of things going on in China and Hong Kong.
It's so easy to allow again, remember how communism is. It's they're trying to control as much of the general population as possible. They're trying to interfere and control people's lives. And now that we're using social media, and now that we're all on social media, and we're so concerned of what we look on social media, it's an easy way for the government to take a hold of that dynamic. And so what's gonna and again, I think that's a great way to end it. Like, your reality should not mirror an episode of the Twilight Zone. Like, that's what's happening. And I think a lot of Americans and people from the West can see that's a real big problem.
Yeah, and I think that probably maybe that'll lead us to another episode, but like the social media censorship and these big tech companies of the government regulations and stuff like that they're asking for. That's a real slippery slope, and I think that maybe that's a whole other topic for another issue, because I know that I have a lot of opinions on that.
Well, didn't we talk about that 2 weeks ago?
I know I wasn't here for that one.
Yeah, you need to catch up.
I gotta catch up.
So you're not watching?
I did. I watched them all, but I guess I didn't. They didn't
we
stick with me.
There's always more to talk about, though.
Yeah.
There's always more
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's what happened with Hong Kong, and then the resolution of that was the leader actually submitted that she would postpone the vote, and that she would.
Quickly.
Yes.
I mean, it was like, what, 36 hours or something?
The
like that?
last time they did a big protest, it was almost like 60 days of just constant protesting, and it was like a stalemate. Where this time it's just a complete reversal. So one is great that she is probably going to resign in a few months because she has no more power. But the secondary problem is, what is China's response? Because China doesn't like to show that they lost. So if China's going to show that kind of response, is it going to be militarily? What's going to happen? And again, remember, Hong Kong is under a one-party, two-system rule for the next, 30 years? What's going to happen? What is Hong Kong going to look like? What is Macau going to look like? These are huge economic parts of the world that need to understand what's going to happen. And so I feel that democracy, it's either going to be democracy or a complete crackdown. Because, I mean, we even have Taiwan is still an issue. So that whole part of the world is just a powder keg just waiting to happen. And we'll see what happens, because if Taiwan falls, then the U.S. has to get involved. But will we have a president willing to get involved in something like that?
Should we?
Riveting.
Should we get involved?
Absolutely. Jake hits the joke anyways.
I got
so.
it.
All right, we're moving on. Thank you, Aníbal, for the international affairs.
it's important. It's just not. It's not attention grabbing to like the general population. I
But
think.
that's
And
the-
it's
that's
a
the
problem.
that's the
It's a problem.
problem.
No,
But
it's really important.
This was my point offline, in the group, where we kind of plan all this
Yeah.
stuff, was that it's still like developing, right? Like nothing's really happening yet. It's on the cusp of something happening, but nothing's truly really happening right now.
I mean, but how long did it take us to get into like the Sudan situation? How long does it take us to get involved in Taiwan, or not Tibet? The American and the Western societies don't like to deal with international politics because it's not something that's dealing with anyone in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, I mean, people are never going to see like any of the effects of any of the things that they're talking about. Like your general American is never going to notice.
So what happens when the only thing that was kind of bringing us involved in this is gas? When oil and gasoline jumps up, Americans get upset, and we have to figure out what's going on. We have to figure. I mean, that's the reason why we have like there's a speed limit on the highway. Like no one remembers that. Like the reason why we have speed limits on the highway is because of the oil embargo. There's a reason why we have energy efficiency on gasoline.
So
Is
do you think that
because
if we go
of
to
that.
electric vehicles, we can get rid of speed limits?
Oh,
Please.
Oh my
I would love
gosh.
it.
If we could.
But then that goes into a bigger problem. Who's going to care about the rest of the world when we no longer have anything to trigger us to watch?
I think there's social issues that will bring us in. I mean, I think that
What,
if there's-
hashtag release the girls? What do we do to that?
Yeah.
Well, no, but if there's like, I mean, genocides, we tend to get involved
After a
If-
million people have been killed.
After a million people, yeah, but that's what it takes. You're right for someone to get involved. But those are the only things that really we tend to. But you're right. I mean, it needs to be something that's like economically.
When Americans no longer are starting to experience the lack of scarcity is when there's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Because then there's never going to be a reason for
Are
us
you
to
saying
ever.
we need more foreign oil dependence? Is that what you're telling me?
I feel that more Americans should travel outside the United States.
Okay. That's
And
a fair point.
that is a great counterbalance to that.
Okay.
If you see what the rest of the world is looking like, then you are more willing to care about those parts of the world.
I mean, I
You can
totally
just
agree.
talk to them and ask them these kinds of questions when you meet them.
Mhm.
I feel like anytime I meet someone that lives in one of these countries that everyone says their healthcare is free, so it's amazing, and somebody I meet them from Canada, I go, tell me about your healthcare, and I'm just curious. And I've never in my life asked someone that who lives in one of these countries with free healthcare and had them respond, it's amazing. It just doesn't happen.
I agree.
So you
I
don't
asked
have
that
to always
question
go
too.
there.
Yeah.
You just, I was watching this interview the other day, and it was like somebody walking down the street in Times Square and just asking people questions, one of those kinds of random things you see them do. And it was these three guys from Holland, and the guy said, how does like social like dependence work in your country? Like how does it work if somebody doesn't have a job and they need to use the government to make the money? And all three of them at the same time were talking over each other, saying, you have to prove 7 times over that you've tried as hard as you can. And there's like a stigma to it. You don't want it there because it's embarrassing, as opposed to
Yeah.
here where sometimes it becomes like a badge
And
of
I'll
honor.
tie this back to TBYR a little bit. Last year, I got to sit down with a journalist from Denmark, and it was a great experience, by the way, because he was doing a documentary, an article on Republican views in America and everything like that. And one of the things that I asked him, about was kind of like those things. What's going on with your healthcare? What's going on with all these different things? What do you think? Are there any things that kind of are values that you guys see? And he said that one of the things that I think that you guys have is everybody feels like even if you're in the poorest situation, you have the ability to get yourself out of it. A lot of that feeling is in America, whereas other countries like some of those Scandinavian ones, they kind of are like, well, it can't be that bad. Someone else will come and help me. And so like one of the key things that I think we have as values is that we truly believe that like if it's bad, it's just bad right now. I just need to work harder. I just need to do this. I just need to get educated. I just need a better job, and then we have the ability to pull ourselves out. And that was one of the big things I took from that, was that he kind of told us about that. It was just kind of like that's a little bit different. And then the other thing he says that why some of it works over there, quote unquote, is that even rich people get like the stipends and stuff like that. So if it's somebody, even if you make millions of dollars a year, you're still getting your like $1,000 a month pay, and so people don't really complain about it because it's equal. And it's not really like people don't consider it a redistribution of wealth as much over there.
Because you can support the people that need it when the
Yeah.
amount of people that need it isn't like 70% of the country.
Yeah, it's a totally different situation. But I wish I could see the article because it's not written in English. It's written in a couple different languages, but it is fascinating to talk to people from around the world. And I do think that as Americans we don't get out of the country nearly
No.
as much as we should.
There's a good amount of the country that's very xenophobic, and they like to be trapped in their little American bubble, and that's something that we as Americans need to be not pushing, but encouraging each other to break out of and be like, there are different cultures, and that's why we're supposed to be a melting pot, and we should be embracing some of those differences. And there's even just little bubbles within the U.S. as well.
It's also a lot more expensive for us, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you live
Yeah.
in some of these other countries, you can get from one
Oh, yeah.
to another very
That's
cheaply.
another
You make
thing.
it
So it's not
easy,
always
yeah.
that people in America don't want to.
It's they can't
that,
afford.
and then it takes a lot more time
yeah.
to get there. So there's more to it than just a fear.
And it's not even, I wouldn't
Yeah.
even want to say it's xenophobic. I want to say that I know people that are very well put together. They're not afraid of foreigners whatsoever, but they enjoy getting in an RV and driving clear across the country,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
love it. And so
some were.
yeah, and so like where it's really easy for you to live in France and have to have all those exposures to all those
Yeah,
different
sure.
countries, or even Zimbabwe or Tanzania or Singapore. Where in the U.S. you have so many different opportunities to travel to so many different states and never even have to leave the world. Never
Yeah.
have to leave the United States.
And there's a lot of cool places in the United States
Yeah.
too that people like never even see and don't know exist and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't need a passport if you
No.
live here to see
No,
it.
and then
Yeah.
like if you really want to get adventurous, you just go to the attic of the United States and enjoy like croissants, and like you enjoy that.
What's that?
A croissant.
He's
Well,
making
what's the
a-
attic?
Canada.
Canada.
Oh,
I've never.
I've never heard that.
America's
Okay,
Okay,
hat.
we're not the only one.
The American
No.
attic and then American basement.
American's hat.
No.
American's hat.
That's a hat. You've heard hat.
I've
I've
heard
heard
that
that.
one.
Croissant.
So,
Croissant.
so what's going on with toxic masculinity? Is that, are we still on that?
Yeah.
Well,
which one of you wants to start that one?
You were the one that shared the. Oh.
You can start.
You can start. It was your art. No, I mean.
You can start so I can tell you why you're wrong.
All right.
No,
Oh.
really
Kidding.
disagree with like one thing because the article was
Yeah.
that you said was that Trump only won because of toxic masculinity. While I agree that toxic masculinity is a real thing in some parts, I think we know the guys that are just they have an unhealthy obsession with their masculinity. Can we say that? Some. There are a good amount of guys who yada yada yada. I know some of you are gonna hate on me. Yada yada.
I don't hate on you.
No,
You're
no.
entitled to your opinion.
No.
I appreciate
Well,
it.
no, there are people on
Bless
both,
your heart.
on
Oh,
both
yeah.
far sides of that
Yeah.
spectrum. There are feminists who are absolutely repulsive in regards to how far they want to go, and then there are
Yes.
men that take it to the nth degree, saying, "Oh, your children are not allowed to cry. Men can't
Yeah.
cry, and you should show no feelings." And that's the And then women that yell at men for holding the door, like that's you're
There-
taking.
there- that goes way too far.
And
drastic
those are the
difference
two
between
differences.
things.
Yeah, so
And I
I
think
completely
both-
agree that there
yeah,
are
both-
men that are
yeah.
overly masculine.
Yeah, no, it's a thing, but it's like these two extremes that are happening, and we all know extremes don't work. We're seeing that now in political spectrum. We're at two different extremes, and so there's a lot more people that are in the middle. Like I don't think Trump won because of toxic masculinity. I think there's a lot of different reasons why he won, which is what that article is saying. But I also and I saw someone be like, "Oh, all these feminists out there are just like." Complaining yada 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 and be like, no, majority of feminists just want equal rights, that's it, period. But the whole thing about like they're now making guys like less of a gentleman, be like, no, those guys were always there, it's their choice to be a gentleman or not, that's not because of women. That's
No,
a
I
whole-
would 100% disagree with that in so many different ways. So, as a,
You don't think there weren't
as a generation though, like we have absolutely lost masculinity, and I think a lot of it is because there is so much of this like feminism that comes out that says it's not okay for you to be manly, it's not okay for you to do certain things,
disagree.
it's not okay for you to open doors, it's not okay for you to buy dinner,
charge.
and maybe it's not an okay, but maybe it's a but I want to do it as a female, and maybe it's that's coming through, but there is an entire generation of men that are either now in their kind of like 30s or younger, so where they're coming up through high school, college, where I mean we're teaching them things like it's okay to wear a dress. I'm sorry, not okay, no matter which way you slice it, right? And like, so, like, we're teaching them these things. And so I was dating a guy from Sweden, like a couple months ago, and one of the things that they're experiencing over there is masculinity has been almost entirely removed, and now they're teaching men to be feminine because of the feminism that's in that country, and I see that happening here as well. And so I think that it is really important that we embrace men for what they are. There are things that I do not want to do, right? I don't want to touch a door, okay? We're walking around somewhere and you have balls, I don't want to touch a door. I don't care who you are. I don't care if we're in a business setting. I don't care if I don't know you. I don't care where I am. I shouldn't have to open things, right? And that doesn't disrespect me as a female, right? Like,
I
I'm
mean, you're
okay
not
with that.
capable of opening the door.
Right. It means
you are
I
capable
just-
of opening it yourself.
That you should
just
have the
rather not.
manners to do so. And you know what? If it means that you don't cry, guess what? I don't care. Don't cry. Right? Like, but there's plenty of female that hold things in too. So I think this like toxic masculinity thing that we have going on is just a way to degrade men and make them feel like it's not okay to be men anymore when they should be. They should be out doing testosterone-filled
And if
things.
a boy likes trucks, let
Let
him
him
have
play
the
with
Yeah,
trucks.
no, I completely agree.
Don't
with you.
encourage Barbies either way. If he doesn't like trucks, give him a bike. I don't know, but don't give him a doll.
I will
Give
say
him a
that-
doll if he wants it.
But I will say this: if the
doll?
guy,
Yeah.
however, if the
I don't
boy
think it's okay.
finds mom's pumps, let him play with mom's
He
pumps.
can play with the
And
shoes.
Yeah.
So like that's the other counterpart. Like let the kids grow up the way they want to grow up,
Yeah.
and like always put the boundaries and everything. Just don't force them
Yeah.
to have to buy the purple Legos because you don't want to label
Gender.
the
Have blue
genderify the
Legos.
child.
Yeah.
And so I think, but I would also-
Allow genders to happen.
Yeah,
like
have
there's
the
a
baby
reason
showers,
for
have the
them.
gender reveals. Like I'm all for that. I think it's just like let the kids be the kids.
You're
They
gonna
don't know
assume their
better.
gender during the gender reveal? Is that what you're
Listen,
telling
once
me?
they tell me that they want to be something else, I'll let them be something else.
Yeah,
They're kids.
after-
They want
yeah,
to
So if they
not
know.
want to
when
be
they're
a
7.
dinosaur
Yeah.
when they're 4, then does that
Yeah.
mean you're going to make sure you enforce that they're a dinosaur as an adult?
I think you should
Because
encourage your kids to do
sometimes-
what they want.
I mean, it's like
No, I think the kids don't know. They only know
Yeah.
what we're telling them, or they only know what we've made them think is okay. And so I think that as adults and as people in the world, it's our job to shepherd them towards this is kind of what's normal for you and this is what's normal for you. I don't think it's okay that we encourage things at a younger level than decisions can be made, right? So
Yeah,
I think
I think
people
we're seeing a
feel ways
lot
they
of that.
should.
I think we're seeing a
but-
lot of. I mean, there's like a lot of stories that come out of like places like California where the moms are putting all kinds of weird stuff into like the school districts and like teaching
Yes.
stuff at a very young age. And there's a big different like. People should not be getting like gender reassignment surgeries, like or those type of drugs
Less
and
than
stuff at like
25.
12. But they're giving to, I mean, they're giving to kids at like 12, 13 years old, and
Or
I just don't think
they're
that
supporting
those
kids
are-
like going out and having like certain behaviors. Or I saw something the other day where it was like this kid was a transgender model. He's like 10.
Yeah.
Like how do you don't know this yet, right? And so we shouldn't be breeding into it, but you need to get to a point where you've developed enough that you can make a decision so that you know what it is that you're saying that you stand for. So I support it as an adult entirely, but I don't think that we can shepherd people towards
if we
it
can't vote
to
or
fit
die for
our
our country until we're 18 or 21. Why can
Yeah.
we make a decision like that when we're 10?
Because
Seems
it's
insane.
going to get
Blows my
worse. It's
mind.
going to
Yeah.
get worse. Society and those individuals, those adults, want something new. They want something exciting. They want something that's going to be dramatic.
or
that
they
what-
felt oppressed
Yeah.
when they were younger, so
or-
now they want to
so
like
now
just
you're
let
gonna
it all
have
free.
you're going to have the 9-year-old that's stripping at a gay club, or you're going to have a 12-year-old drag queen. and their bodies are being completely sexualized. And now you're like, oh, but no, it's for pride, or it's for everything else. And I step back and I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with a 7-year-old dancing on a pole. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm gonna
When
let
did that
Parker
become
go.
a thing?
Go ahead.
Well, one thing is, why are you sexualizing a 12-year-old? I'm gonna put that back onto you.
Well, but if you
also
put
the other
but if you
thing-
put them in like if you
if
put
you
them in
put
a
them in
No,
a
parade.
but I'm also
Situation.
in the situation. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't think they should be like collecting the dollar bills at a gay club.
But
I
you
think
see,
they're-
but you see kids like getting marched around in like in the pride parades with like
In
you know
very
in front of a
skimpy
guy
outfits
with like
or-
assless chaps in front of him,
Yeah.
and like these pictures exist out there. Like this is something that's been going on the past couple
Yeah.
weeks too,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like. I don't know. Like as a, like, I don't want to put my kid out front in a Trump hat. I don't want to put him out
Yeah,
in
yeah,
any.
legit.
I don't want to do
Yeah.
any of those things. I mean, like
Yeah, no.
he's a child,
We
or
shouldn't-
she's a child, or
in adult situations,
It's child,
because here's
yeah.
the thing: it's just like
Gender neutral.
pride is for consenting adults.
yeah.
Correct.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Adults. Yeah.
But I also get why some people will bring their children, because if they are proud gay parents, and we know gay parents haven't had that right to be open about for not too long, within like the little amount of years where
Well, I don't
people
think-
have been more open to.
I don't think there's anything wrong with walking around with your kid at like a parade or something like
Yeah.
that. But I think there's a big difference between that and then
Like-
like putting them on some of the floats with like the
Or dressing them up and doing
I mean,
the
you know it's
makeup and the
inappropriate. Like, people
hair.
know it's inappropriate when they see it.
But
like
I
you
agree
know,
with-
you
I
know when a
agree with
kid
Par-
shouldn't. Well, not everybody, but you know that but kids should not be in certain situations. I mean, like when you see it out.
But I agree with Parker, and I understand where you're coming from, because
Yeah.
I think, again, this community, which was marginalized forever,
Oh my gosh.
has not had the time to develop. And again, you're seeing this now within
This
their
is
own
so
community,
new.
that now there are large pockets of Republican LGBT supporters, and now that group is starting to bring into itself, become its own community, its own culture.
Yeah.
So, and it's so funny I'm bringing this analogy up, but it's almost like Gasparilla. There's a reason why
Yeah.
we have the children's parade.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And, we
then-
don't
and-
bring him to the night
And
parade. Yeah.
eventually, oh no, the night parade's awesome. It's
Oh
not
my
that-
gosh, the
it's
amount of
not as
children at
bad.
night parade. Well, night parade is, from what I've heard in the past to like what it is now. Like I was shocked when I heard my high school was like marching the night parade. I'm like,
Oh, it's nowhere near what it used
yeah,
to be.
no.
That's common.
And so that's why
Are
I
you
think it's
saying
gonna, I
make the
think
night
that's what's
parade
gonna,
great again?
Yeah, I think what's probably going to happen is that you're going to see multiple parades start being family friendly and family focused, because that's what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Because now that community is so open, and now that companies want their dollars,
Yeah.
they're going to make sure that those become very family friendly, and you're going to see it's no longer going to be the debauchery of the 90s or the 80s, but it's going to be more of a family friendly place, because these people are now growing up, they're having their kids, they want to bring them to something that they don't have to like explain why someone is walking around in assless chaps.
Although I think there's more than the parades, though, and I think that just like as a people, we need to understand there's other ways to expose kids, right? And so I grew up in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and so we have Provincetown, right? And so it is a predominantly gay part of Cape Cod. And we've always gone to P-Town, and I think that, once we were old enough for our parents to be able to explain to us kind of what's going on, but it's in a wholesome, it's a normal town. It's just that you're so exposed to just people being people that, like, I grew up not knowing any difference, right? And I think that that's the way that we need to be introducing
Yes. Yeah.
kids to these differences. And I think it should be, family specific. But we need to easily let kids kind of just see, what just people are, not kind of like just showing it in the wrong types of manners, or exposing it to them in like one big bang, right? Where there's so much stimulation overload, but instead just showing them this is just a community.
Yeah.
These are all people. We're all together. We're all hanging out. We're all eating dinner. We're all shopping. We're all hanging out at the beach, and it's no different than a day at a different town, right? And that's how I was exposed to it. I think that's the best way
Yeah,
to.
know, I
I'm
agree
from
with you.
Miami in the '90s. I was pretty exposed. To a lot of that stuff. I think it's yeah.
Exposed yourself, or you were exposed?
A little bit of both.
I went
I-
to Miami 3 weeks ago,
I have-
and I saw all the exposure.
I have stories, but I'm gonna just
We got
leave
time.
off the podcast.
we
He
got
also
time.
has a therapist. So.
maybe off
No,
of
but
it.
I'll go back to Jody. I do agree. No, there's ways to have these adult conversations, but make it more child friendly. Like
Yeah.
when I know about consent, like I've heard of examples being, if someone's not having fun, you have to stop, and that's a good way of just being like, if no one wants,
Yeah.
if they don't want to hug you, just shake their hand. You can feel it out.
Yeah, you
I
got to
think
learn different levels of social interaction.
the main thing is just also with this situation in particular, it's just like learn to just love other people, and like when that time comes where they finally know about sexual orientations and gender identity, yada yada yada, there's a time and a place. Like, and I think usually around middle school is when kids start at these preteens start asking more and more questions. They're more exposed to it. So it's like when's that fine line between the age where you say not yet and like we should talk about this now before they get the wrong information from like middle school kids that don't know what they're talking about either.
And I think middle school is too young. I
So
do.
I feel like
think
I
quite
don't think
that's-
so.
often.
I think that's
I
due to
came
what
out in
they're
middle
exposed
school.
to.
I think
but
that-
you're a younger generation too. It's
Yeah.
due to what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
So like our parents weren't exposed to that, and so they didn't get it at middle school, right? So but like we continually bombard and expose through the media and the TV shows and things, and younger and younger kids are becoming more aware of just sexuality in general, not either way, but just sexuality. And I think that as a society, we are doing that way too young, right? We shouldn't have 16. Well, maybe
How old do
16.
you think?
16's too.
I think middle school's a little young. I think maybe like freshman and high
Freshman
school.
year
So,
of high
you
school.
so
start
liberals
to
like
think
to use
about-
science whenever it
Yeah.
works for them, right? So whenever you're talking to a liberal about climate change, they're going to say science, 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 facts, facts, facts. But if you try to use science, 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 facts, facts, facts about the development of children's brains and the physical differences between men and women, back to toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
2 times in a human's life that they learn by testing is when they're a toddler and they're a teenager. It's when the left and right side of their brain does things at the same time. That's why toddlers put their fingers in light sockets to find out what's going to happen, and why teenagers test their parents to find out what's going to happen. Science also shows that humans' brains don't become fully mature until they're 28 to 30 years old. That's not someone's opinion. So if we're going to say, let's use facts and science, there's also facts and science that show that men and women are different.
We are.
So back to toxic masculinity, my frustration, like I very much appreciate the women a long time ago that are the reason I now have a right to vote. I deserve to be treated equally to men. But I also appreciate the difference between men and women. And I can appreciate that if I have a male boss and his style of leadership is to say, this is my delegation and you do this task and you do that, it doesn't mean he's speaking to me that way because he's a toxic man. It means his style of leadership factually and scientifically most likely is going to be different because of the way he was created.
Well, I think
and this feminist movement is trying to make us all be like one gender.
I think
which we
I-
are not.
I think
Some
that they're
of them
trying
are.
to
Some-
extend
there are the
out
extremes.
into like 3 and 4 and 5 different types of genders, and the X's on the license plates or licenses and everything like that. But I think that kind of just to go back to the very beginning of this point, that like there's clearly been a problem, right? It's like guys have had like too much like just run of the mill, like we've had problems with obviously like rape and date rape and like all these different kinds
But
of
not
things that
all
like
men.
no,
Just
of course
not all
not.
men.
No, of course
yeah,
not.
No, no one's
Doesn't
saying
mean
all
he does
men.
those
No, of
the
course
ones that
not.
are saying that are the extreme feminists, which I know plenty of feminists that don't like that either, and it does ruin for those of us that are just, we believe in equal rights, but we also know you can be whatever you
But
want
we
to
have equal
be.
rights.
We're
Yeah.
there.
We have
Yeah.
equal
Oh, yeah.
rights.
Yeah, I just think
there
that
doesn't
we're
need to be any more conversation
I
about
think
it.
we're just
Yeah.
it's you're seeing like a pushback and it's just sliding a little too far, because it's like obviously like this has been slightly a problem for I don't know how long, probably forever, but it's like so it's like a couple of years ago when this whole movement kind of came about, it's like now you're seeing it like just there's I don't know, it's almost like a see how far you can kind of take it kind of thing, and you don't want that to step on like
The
of
progress
men's
we've
natural
made.
urges either at the same time,
Yeah.
because it's like it's like I think like men are we have more testosterone, we're aggressive like
Yeah.
not everybody, but like
You're more
it's like
competitive.
more
Yeah.
competitive. I mean there's
Yes.
certain traits that we just
We're
have.
not multitaskers. There's scientific differences.
But
Yeah.
we're also,
And that's okay.
but I'm also not going out and hunting for my food. So like,
Not anymore.
exactly.
Yeah,
And-
but if something happens, could you? Because I could.
well, I mean, I have enough to last me a few winters. So I mean, I'm good. I'm good to survive a few seasons. But I will say this: that I think what's happening, you could trace this more back to where there are more women raising men, and so you might have that as a counter effect when it comes to society. But I think what's going on is there was a problem, and I'm going to not deny it in the 80s and probably even earlier and later in that men had to be reminded that no meant no.
Yeah, I mean, they still do.
But what I'm saying is, for a very long time, there was and we all knew these people in college that they just didn't care, or they didn't care about women, and they just cared about how many notches on their belt they could get. And it was a competition, and then it almost became that you were dehumanizing women, and that rolls into a larger conversation for those individuals, because those are the ones that we hear about. And so I think what needs to happen is that, as a society, we're moving towards, that now women are fully involved into the economic sphere. They're entering more into politics. They're becoming more the breadwinners. Society is changing, and now some men find that as a problem when their wives or their girlfriends or they see that their moms make more than their husbands, and for generations that never happened.
Well, I think that you touched on the point a little bit, is that like there's just not great male role models in everybody's household,
right?
And so when you don't have a strong male influence in communities, that's a huge problem. And then you have guys that go too far to one side or go too far to the other side, and it's like, so that is a big problem that doesn't really get talked about, and it kind of goes back, because it's like, it's kind of one of those things. It's like nobody cries for men too much. Like there's not that many people that come out here and are like, men's rights and all that kind of stuff, because it's just like,
actually
there's a movement.
There's a movement.
There's a movement, but
the Million Dad March, I can't remember. It's been a few years.
Exactly. So, but that's my point, though. So I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, look, like this, like it's not the most pressing issue of the time or anything like that. But there's clearly like a lack of positive male influence in a lot of kids' households.
But I will say this: it's always been something that the Christian community has done very much so. Promise Keepers was a big male-oriented, to get the fathers back in the household, to get them leading the spiritual lives of their households. And so that was always a big thing. My dad went to a few of those when we were younger. What was the other like man-dominated push? Like David Leatherwood pushed that one a lot. Was it Promise Keepers? So it's always been a big thing in the Spanish, in the Christian and Latin community, making sure that both parents. I had a really long discussion with a bunch of my high schooler kids, letting them know that just having a two-parent household diminishes so many problems in a child's life. Having that balance of the mom and the dad, even if the mom is the one that's
you can't. But I mean, you can't. Not every situation is going to allow for that. But it's like the people that do. That's why
every situation technically allows for it. The only way to create a child technically is for there to be two individuals at this.
Yes, but that's just not reality.
It is reality for 80% of the country.
But it's not. But it's not reality that there's going to be two people that can like amicably decide to stay in a house. I think, and there's also a lot of people that it's probably better off that they split off.
Correct.
In my psychology class, I remember when I was a psych minor and I was doing infant and child development or adolescent development 1 to 2, it was quality over quantity. You need the quality parent over both parents, and that's the main thing of just like, not everyone, like I didn't have that situation. My parents were separate. For a while, I had both just doing 1 week at one house, and then one parent I didn't feel safe with, so I left them. And my mother took on both roles, and that's a reality in a lot of households, that one parent has to take on both roles. But there's ways to get to having a good male role models. There's more movies coming out, or just characters that just like little meme about good masculine role models is just like Mr. Roger from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and he's a good man. He still has some of the masculine characters, but he's just a nice, caring man who doesn't take on this, what we see as masculine, or what we think is a stereotypical masculine man. Does that make sense?
I would find him to be very feminine.
What was your point, Anibal?
What I want to say is even though, yes, I do agree that there are differences that can be put into place, at the same time, I'm going to go back to the facts. And I can go to the facts and say that a kid that is raised without one or the other parent has, I think it's like a 60% likelihood.
It's a disadvantage.
A huge disadvantage. And again, there's one thing being white, honestly, being white and being raised with a single parent, and then there's a whole nother thing being a minority and being raised with a single parent. That has its own percentages. And so the likelihood of you being poor, if you grew up with two parents, graduated from high school and got a normal, not even a crazy job, a normal job, drops to like 11% likelihood of you being poor. And again, it's not that it doesn't happen. It's not that you have to have two parents, but we have to be real, and I have to be honest with the kids that we're talking to, and I have to be real with the parents that we're talking to. The likelihood of your kid falling under or going under economically or education-wise or getting even into prison increases significantly if the parents don't stick together. Those are just numbers. Those are just numbers.
I get that it's a good thing to encourage,
it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
However, I'm not. The facts are still the facts.
But I think
because you don't like them doesn't mean they're not
exactly,
there.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Now your parents could have done it correctly, or your mom or your dad could have done it correctly, and that's not talking negative to them. It's actually talking about what you do in your decisions when you get ready to get married and when you get ready to have kids and everything else. It's not, those numbers don't talk negative to the past or your particular parents.
No.
It's pushing for you to make that proper decision of how you want to raise your
Well,
kids.
I think that it's fine to encourage, like, people and when they're going to raise a family, that's the goal. But I just think that there's so many situations out there that just doesn't
Yeah.
allow for that at
Yes.
some point.
And the statistics
I think
also
it's
tell
okay
you
that
that
it's not allowed for. What he's saying is, regardless of if it's allowed for or not, or if it's good or bad or whatever, is just that your risk factor and your disadvantage factor and the odds of you not having the same outcome or output as somebody that did have both
if
families
I know-
is
if I know-
But there's
drastically
also
different.
stats that say like having two parents, if one parent's still toxic, that's still not good.
Yeah, that's kind of my point here. Is
Yeah.
that like it doesn't necessarily like, again, I think it's fine to encourage those type of things, but I think that in practice, there's a lot of situations where it just does not work, and I think
That's
it's
harder to
more of a
measure.
disadvantage.
The toxic parent is harder to measure.
Because hopefully there's a parent that
Yeah.
overweighs the toxicity of that parent.
I think there's a lot of factors that go into those type
Yeah.
of studies too. I mean, like there's a lot.
And there's a lot of studies that show that, again, if you know the information and if you know the percentages, odds are you're going to make a better decision when it comes to your,
Well,
your
and
partner.
I'm not
It's
sitting
gonna
here
make a-
encouraging
it's gonna make
single
a better
parenthood.
decision.
That's not what I'm
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to do.
no, but
I'm just trying to say that like I think it's a good thing to encourage, but I think it's one of those things that kind of like we say overarchingly like it's a good idea, but then it's like it doesn't like actually always happen that way. So let's figure out what now we need to do, for somebody that is in a single parent household, that is, that's maybe not having the right influences. So where do those good influences come from? I mean, maybe they do come from a church, maybe they do come from a religious institution. But at this point, I mean, this is just reality. Most of these kids are getting their big influences from YouTube, and like there's and that's how you have these channels of I work with many of them, but like they have a message.
Be careful.
That is, I'm not going to name names, but they have messages that are that take advantage of people that are because men are seeking male role models, females are seeking female role models. I mean, it depends on who it is that they're looking for, but like that's who is influencer. That's why I call it influencers. They're influencing kids, and especially kids because they're the ones on YouTube. So it's like, so how do you create a positive message alongside of that? Like what can we do as a society, maybe as a political organization, to kind of use those channels to positively influence and get the right message out? Because right now I think that like a lot of people that dominate that space, they're not necessarily the best actors.
Some of my best role models have been actually my male bosses.
I've never had a male
Good
boss.
for
I
you,
haven't.
Joey.
So you wanna elaborate?
Yeah.
No, really.
No, I see your point.
My parents were separated, but I do have a stepdad, and my mom and my stepdad didn't. They lived a normal life, and they were taking care of 3 kids, and it was expensive and whatnot. I mean, I went to work full time when I was 13, and my boss taught me all of the groundwork of just like what you put into work ethic, like how you're able to move up and things that like if you put the work in, you will be rewarded, you will get the opportunity, how to speak to people, how to present myself to people, and then that.
Did he treat you respectfully and the same as he treated everyone else?
Absolutely.
Oh, and he was a man?
100%.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, still does.
Wow.
I worked for them at that company for God, I don't even
Well,
know.
this is okay. So you're
Probably
touching
8 years.
You're actually touching on a part of this topic that I had in a private conversation, which is because there was an article that came out about how men are decreasingly mentoring women. in the workplace, right? And honestly, to me, what this says, this is a side effect of the Me Too movement.
It is.
Because
Agreed.
now
100%.
men at any level of management are now afraid to have closed door meetings. They're afraid to have private lunches, private dinners with the women that may be under their supervisory role, where maybe they were open to mentoring them at one time, now feel that, hey, if I close the door behind me and there's nobody else in this room, now I'm opening myself up to accusations that I may not be able to defend myself from.
And
Yeah.
that 30 years from now, somebody can bring up and lie about, and it's like guilty until proven innocent half the time, especially if you're
Yeah.
the wrong political party.
I mean, this is exactly what happened in
Kavanaugh.
Tallahassee when the whole who was the
Keep naming so many
legislator
different
that
situations.
basically resigned because someone accused him, Latvala.
Yeah.
Lavala,
So Jack
Senior.
Lavala, yep.
And that caused a huge ripple effect to where we have friends that are lobbyists and that are in Tallahassee and they couldn't get a meeting anymore. They could not sit down and have a meeting with a male counterpart or with a male legislator because they were so afraid of there being a
Being
picture
accused.
or there being accused. And it can't, and it's so funny because everyone was making fun of the vice president
Yeah,
because
right.
he wouldn't take a
I was gonna
lunch
bring that up.
without his
Yeah.
wife. And it's so funny because I have been practicing that with my wife for years. And it's not because of that situation. It's because I remember Billy Graham taking the door off of his office to make sure that no one ever could say anything.
Those Keanu Reeves photos are
Oh, are
hilarious.
amazing.
Oh,
You posted that,
The Keanu
right?
photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keanu
Yes.
Reeves. So people have no idea what we're talking about unless they
I don't
unless
know.
they follow
Reenact
me
it
on
with
Instagram.
Jody. Reenact
Um,
it with Jody.
but-
Oh, the hand, the
All
hand.
the hands.
Yeah, all of the hands are like he's like.
Oh,
posing
yeah,
for
yeah,
pictures,
he's the part.
But he's got
Will
like,
Smith does that as well.
he's got like
Yeah.
this, like he's like not going to touch it. Like,
And he's
I don't
making
think
sure
it's a
you
germ
can
thing.
see
You
it
can
in the
see
screen.
where the hand
No,
is.
it's an on purpose. Like I didn't touch you.
Yeah.
I saw those.
Yeah.
Well,
Those
there's
were
there's
great.
a lot of just normal people. Like I don't know how to. I don't want to say I don't know how to touch people. But it's like I don't feel comfortable like putting my hands on other people because I'm just like it's a consensual.
Well, that's what makes
thing.
Joe Biden so creepy because
Because
I
he's
really
just
like
like,
hands.
because there's people
go
out there that are very
like
careful
that.
about
Am
how
I
they
fixing
like
my
like I
hair,
for
or are we
one like I'm
bidening my
very
hair
careful
right now?
about how I would interact with a female
I
like
think
that.
he-
I'm just not that touchy.
Because
But
I've met him before at my college,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's just.
did he pet your hair or sniff you?
People want to
Be
know.
honest. Be honest.
I cried in the shoulder. No, I actually did because it was for the now it's on us movement because I'm a sexual assault survivor, both in college and then as a child. So for
My joke's not funny anymore.
no,
That's
but
right, you
he's
were in there for that.
he's a
Oh,
very
my.
personal person, and I think he got
But-
too used to just being like.
Trying to
so-
comfort people,
Trying to
and that's his
comfort. I
style.
think that's what it is, and I think he's taken it too far.
Do you think
like-
so?
But he's
He's
still
still
doing
comfortable
it.
still
Still
doing it.
doing it.
Even
all
after the
after-
apology, he still does it.
Well, because
I don't know.
on
People
the-
keep saying like somebody
I
said
don't
to
wanna
me
give him an
like,
excuse.
"Have you ever touched a woman like this or
No.
a kid like
No.
that?"
Yeah,
And
no.
The answer
No.
between 99% of men is no, not once.
And I come from a Latino household, and we are not that affectionate at all.
No,
And in
he-
every
if
photo,
Anything,
the
someone
woman
would have got
is like,
punched in the face. You
It's like
touching
one
my
thing-
kid that way? What on earth is going on?
Yeah.
like for me being in that situation, just like I don't mind because I knew kind of what I was getting into
Yeah.
with him, already seeing what he.
but all the memes weren't out yet.
But all them, yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah, no. And it's just one thing of just being like, oh, looking back and be like, oh, maybe it was too close. But also I was crying and I gave him a hug.
I was just joking.
It's just like,
with
but
you.
no, it's just it goes back to consent thing of just like who consents and just like if the person allows you to get close to them, there's ways to do it. And there's like because you don't always want to be like, hey, can I touch you? Because that just ruins the mood.
No, but you also
Like-
don't put your hands on the side
no.
boobs
Oh,
of
yeah,
a
no.
woman as
Oh,
you're
no.
walking to
Oh, no.
take a
He's-
speech,
he's-
and then she has to rip his hands off.
Yeah, no.
Again, his campaign will be the death of 1,000 memes, and
Yeah.
that is how it's
Oh,
going
no.
to end.
No,
That's
he
how
shouldn't
I-
have been doing it for children.
You know what?
He shouldn't have
But
been
that's
doing
The
it.
crash and burn.
Oh, you know,
No,
guys,
and-
should we like live stream the debates?
Yes.
And
Yes.
be
We
sit here
should
and
live
just talk.
stream.
Like,
Please.
let us know in the comments though. I've been thinking about this. Like, should we we be like live streaming? We'll just like drink through the whole thing. We'll play like a drinking
We'll
game.
do a
Yes.
shot
We'll
every
do
time
shots.
Biden like touches somebody appropriately.
Or when Elizabeth Warren makes a comment about her being
Indian.
Or every
Oh,
time Bernie
yeah.
says you can have that for free.
Have that. for
Yeah,
free.
we'll do the whole thing.
And I don't know who's going to pay for it.
But the problem is it's 2
she's
nights
in
in a
No,
row.
let's do a
Please.
drink every time they don't answer a question directly.
Please tell me, does everyone realize that Elizabeth Warren is now in like second place or third place now?
Oh my
Wow,
Of the
I haven't
ratings?
heard. I haven't heard
It's
anything about her. And like,
Beautiful, and I'm loving it. Someone needs to fact check that real quick.
I'm pulling it
But I'm
up.
almost positive
I swear, I just-
she's
she's
either,
like top 4. I know
she's
that.
taken out
Where's
Buddha
the
Baba
list?
and
But
Buddha
Buttigieg.
Baba.
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
But-
Okay.
Buttigieg? Buttigieg?
Buttigieg.
If we can't say his name, he's not getting elected. We learned that
Mayor Pete.
already.
we
did.
learned how to
Mayor
say
Pete.
Barack Obama.
We did.
That's
but-
not hard to say.
This is true.
I can't. I'm still on the podcast. I can't say anything.
We need guidance.
We
Sorry.
need to have an after show.
I just
Johnny,
wanna
reel
go
it
back-
in, reel it in.
And you can say Barack
I just want to go back
Obama.
to the Biden thing just because I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not defending what he's done.
No.
I think in a professional setting, he shouldn't be that close. The setting that I was in when I met him,
That's-
it
it's
made
different.
sense. But when he's doing it in a professional setting, he shouldn't be all
Bernie.
over hugging unless they
Bernie's
know that
number
person and that's a relationship.
Biden,
then
Bernie,
all
Warren.
do that. But he was in a professional relationship. He shouldn't. Children, it's weird because I like they have body autonomy. We have to remember
Well,
that.
and I mean, yeah, and people are uncomfortable. You see it in all the videos.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Like
like
they're
being
not
in
like
that
it's like
area.
he's not taking like context clues from around.
Oh,
him.
no.
That's-
Oh,
that's-
but if he was a Republican,
Alright.
it,
Oh
wouldn't,
my God,
it
he-
wouldn't be. I think I'm offended.
Johnny wants to take us away from
But
this
I don't
topic.
think I'm offended because he's going to become president. Like they want to say that he did something, but they wasn't to the point to where they feel upset. But if he was a Republican, there would be 50 of them coming out every single
That's
like
the
weekend.
frustration.
Well, this
Yeah.
is the sad truth: is that they know he's their best chance to possibly win the White House. I still think he's going to lose. I don't think any of the Democratic candidates have the slightest chance at this point, unless something really dramatic happens. But anyhow, I did want to transition because we are about to hit the 1 hour mark, and did not want to give up the opportunity to talk about the huge news coming out of Florida this week, which was sanctuary cities. Governor
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis signing the bill preventing sanctuary cities. And of course, what does that mean for cities like Tampa Bay, Orlando, Miami, who are obviously densely populated with illegal immigrants, making that clear distinction, because that is who this bill is targeting. And so what do you guys think about that?
Well, I've done a lot more research than Cassie, so I will be the first.
Is that possible?
No,
Cassie does the most research.
she does. That's
She's
why I wanted
so
to give her
good.
that intro.
Oh, well, what I found interesting was, first my thought was, like, you hear in the media how sanctuary city is like, just let anyone live there regardless of their status. What I found with my research was that the definition of sanctuary city was it puts a limit on ICE being able to work with the police, especially if an illegal immigrant has committed a crime. So in a sanctuary city, and this is not the only definition, but if an illegal immigrant commits a crime and is in jail, ICE can't do anything. If it's not a sanctuary city, ICE can give them a detainer or request a detainer, I'm not positive of the lingo, and take them and move them so that they now can process them as an illegal immigrant. And my frustration is how whenever you hear someone defending sanctuary cities, they leave out the word illegal 100% of the time. So they say, what are we doing not being nice to people who want to come here from other countries? That's not what we say. I mean, half of us in this room have parents or grandparents that came here from another country. It's very frustrating. So what this bill did really wasn't change anything. It just kind of sent a tone and sent a message moving forward, because we already didn't have any sanctuary cities in Florida, and counties were able already to follow the law almost to the extent that they chose to based on who their sheriff is or whoever's in charge. This just kind of said, moving forward, we will not create sanctuary cities where someone can break a law and have no repercussions for it.
I mean, let's just give Ron DeSantis a big round of applause.
Yes.
Because that guy is just, he's been
Come
killing
be
it.
on the show,
He's
Ron.
doing way more than I thought he
Yeah,
was
Ron,
going to
you're
do.
good.
I'm
Oh
not
my
going to
God,
lie. Like,
You are
They-
welcome
I'm all
on the
about
show
some
anytime.
ramen.
Anytime.
They did their
Yeah.
100 days within like 30 days. Is what I think they said within the first month.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
and
like
some-
he's showing up.
Oh,
He showed
yeah.
up.
Oh,
I'm,
and
And he
I'm
showed up
really-
like very middle grounded.
And
Yeah.
some
Like,
of
that's-
the most left-leaning like publications in
gosh.
Florida
They
were like,
have to be
they're
nice.
like,
They can't
well,
not
I
be
guess
nice right
he's
now.
just doing things that anyone would do.
That's what they kept saying.
Like,
That was
the
the
Yeah.
quote.
quote.
Sentinel. I'm like, just say he's
doing
a
good.
job. It's not that difficult.
So did you know we're the 12th state to do a bill like this? I
Only
wonder if the
12?
reason, if the reason why we got so much more press is because we're in Florida.
Well,
The other
because
states
Florida is
say-
always
Florida's- yeah.
getting and
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the swing and
Well, and we have a good amount of.
Well, it's also
It'll-
I was going to say it's
Right.
also
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of the amount of immigrants that we do get from Latin America, and
Yeah.
so I mean many other countries as well. But especially Miami. I think Miami, and then very, very close to it was Orlando, especially given their local politics, given how liberal those two cities are. I think there was a very high likelihood that they were looking to move in this direction. The liberals are trying to say, hey, there was no problem here to begin with. There were no such thing as sanctuary cities, and that this bill was unnecessary. Well, what this bill did is exactly make sure that was prevented. It's getting ahead of the problem before there is one.
So Johnny, I mean I agree with this bill, but to push back on you guys, do you think that it's an overstep from the state to tell the localities though what they can and can't do, or is because they're it's
Not
federal
if
law,
not if the
it's a little
locals are
different.
getting funds from
From
the
the
state
state.
and the federal. I think that's where
Yeah.
people forget that a lot of the pressure that we get is from the state and the federal level. And if this needs to be something that needed to be pushed, and a lot of Republicans and conservatives and even independents were very much supportive of this kind of position, especially seeing what's happening on the other side of the country, California, and what they're doing with their sanctuary cities.
I actually think it's good that as a state, as Florida, we've come in and we've just said, no, nobody's going to do it, right? So before where it was each county or each sheriff's office and then whoever gets elected or whoever's in and out, that could alter back and forth. And I think it's just really great that as a state, it's just like hey, no, we've now taken out of your hands. You don't even have to campaign on it. Forget it. It's done. We've
Do you know what
handled it.
percentage of illegal immigrants in Florida jails? What percentage of people in Florida jails are illegal immigrants?
I don't.
It's from your stats.
7.1.
20%.
Wait, never mind.
Don't read my stats. Let me say that.
Those are Gaz's
Those are my stats and my
notes.
I'm
research.
sorry you don't have a good teacher.
Ooh.
Whoa, what?
Sorry, you
Blinder.
can't read
No,
my
no,
stats.
No, blinding.
Sorry, you didn't
the
do any
test
research
blinder.
yourself.
We'll just back it up, Parker.
20%. So do you know what that costs American taxpayers each year?
I want to say
20%.
no. I would say probably for $50 to $100 million.
144 million. Nice job. Do you know what percentage of children in our schools are illegal immigrants?
Oh, that's probably a much higher percentage. I would say probably it's definitely double digits. I would say less than
Say like
20.
15%.
7.1,
Oh.
costing us $500 million a year. So my question is to the people that say that people should be able to come here illegally, where are we getting the money from then?
Well, it's the same place we get all the money from, the air.
Which is why
I
we need to
mean-
talk about deficits
Well, no.
and interest payments.
We're not
on
talking
the
about
debt.
interest. The
Okay,
census
next-
question,
next
however, though, has
episode.
been making a big deal. No, but this is seriously.
Yeah,
This goes back straight into the other big news I think from this week is this whole census question thing, which is like the first question on a test of like, do you live here? Is this it's as
Are
big?
you a citizen?
Is this big to do that? It's being worked up in the media that like it's like this racist question that it's this like it's inappropriate or something like that. But it's like the first question on like a citizen, like the census is meant to like count the citizens, and like the first question should be like, are you a
Yeah.
citizen?
Again,
like,
That
that's
makes
not,
sense.
I mean, I got into a little bit of an argument with my liberal friends about this week, so like I heard.
But
about
why
some of their
did they
points,
say
but-
that you shouldn't ask? Like,
It's the
why
same
would
reason
they-
why they think black people and minorities can't find a place to register themselves to
ID.
get an ID. It's so racist to
Yeah.
assume that just because my skin is brown that I'm unable to navigate my way to find where the DMV is.
But the
It's
census goes to
racist.
everybody.
It's
Well,
racist
it's-
for someone to say that I can't say where my parents are from or if I wasn't born here that I have to say. It's so racist.
Well, so I'm going to give you the liberal point that I heard, or the Democratic point, because I don't want
Yeah.
to keep saying liberal, but because Parker keeps correcting me. So, but no, like the side from the left, what the argument is that they're trying to reappropriate funding different places and take away from those type of communities and put them in like basically like white communities or other communities, and I mean that's the argument going on over there.
But the only
I mean,
way for them to get counted is for them to participate in the census.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't say it's a good argument. I'm just trying to tell you that this
That's
is
their-
the argument.
Their thought is just like, we're not going to get an accurate census calculation because people are not going to turn it in because they don't want to write they're not citizen. Or
Well, I
they
don't
have
think
a
anyone.
member.
I,
That's the
my argument was that I don't
heard.
think anybody is. If you're an illegal
Yeah.
immigrant, I don't know why you're filling out the census in the first place. Like I don't think that they're filling
You
it out
should
with
be
the question,
filling it out,
with the
yeah.
question or
Why
without
are
the
you
question.
receiving it? Where is your address registered that it's coming to you in the mail?
No,
would be
it's
my
not. So
question.
it's an individual going house to house, and so that's where it is. That's where it's coming
Oh.
from. If I go into that house, I'm not going to know if it's going to be someone that is illegal or not. So the question has to be had that these are all U.S. dollars going to be funding U.S. citizens and people that are going through the immigration process right
Yeah.
now. So you need to answer it truthfully, or there's going to be a distortion in the data. And
I
if we
think-
can't have that, then congressional lines are put in incorrectly, school districts are written down correctly. I mean, again, it's very important that people find this stuff out. If I'm having a problem finding almond milk at a grocery store, then if we don't have this done correctly, we need to do it correctly.
I
Wait,
just,
Wait,
isn't
wait, you're gonna have to go
Almond
back
milk.
and
Go
give
back
us
because of the
why.
because of the supplies and stuff and moving
Yes.
around.
Okay.
If you can't find almond milk, somebody filled out the
Wait,
census
wait.
wrong.
How is Publix going to know to order X amount of almond milk if they never get the proper data showing that there is a demand
Based
for
on how
almond
much
milk?
almond
right.
milk they've previously
Oh
sold.
my god.
Yeah, but you only do that census every 10 years.
I think we're.
But
getting-
don't they buy new stock based on what's sold?
So again, the census is done on purpose every 10 years to show the growth of communities and where demand is going in regards to where federal funding needs to go. That data is so important that if we get it wrong when we input it, we don't do it again
Well,
for
so
another
this
10
is
years.
so like the argument from the left is that like we're going to be pulling away power from those communities, and then those people should be counted because they live here. And again, it's the argument. And then so
But if they're still counted, it just says, "Are you a citizen or aren't you a citizen?"
Well,
we still
there's-
count all the crap. We just want that
And I
extra
think-
I think
question.
the
but I think-
fear is
but I think
if they
there's a-
say they're not a citizen, then
they're
they're
going to
going
come
to
around and get deported. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's genuinely the fear. Like I think that the problem is that the administration, their actions have not like given them any reason to think that this stuff is not going to happen to them. And I don't think that we're going to go around mass deportating like
So-
millions and
No,
millions
it's
of
too
people.
much
So, but
But
this
that's
money.
but that's I think that's the fear from the left and from those communities of why they wouldn't
But
be
those
filling
are-
out, wouldn't be
those-
doing
I
it.
think
those
that goes right
fears-
with why I don't want to register
But
my
see,
guns.
but see, this is the thing. Okay, so first of all,
Sure.
I think if you're here illegally, you're not going to. Calm down over there. I'm gonna have to bust out the whip. No, what I was gonna say
I
was.
mean, if you're gonna take away the almond milk, then maybe you're gonna.
Is there an I'm
What is with the almond
That's where
milk?
you went to almond milk.
I'm still not sure where we got.
What is with you
I'm
two
with
and the
you
what
on
is
the
with you
almond
two and
milk.
the almond
I know.
milk?
What I'll say is this: if
I
That
feel
is
like
such a
Guy
horrible
goes over there.
metaphor.
the Trump administration, no, my wife knows what I'm talking about. If the Trump administration,
She's the only one.
It's all that matters. If the Trump
got you.
administration would have added an additional question besides the citizenship question, also what form of legal like status are you?
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
when it becomes
But here
a
it is.
problem.
Look, this is the problem. Two things. One, if you're here illegally, you're probably not going to participate in the census anyways because you're going to fear any kind of federal presence at your door. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just the honest truth. The second part is that if you're here illegally, regardless of where you live, the government shouldn't be giving more funds to that community simply because there's someone there living there illegally.
Right. Or taking them away because
So back
there's
to the
someone there
sanctuary
legally.
cities, I read a quote that said, supporters of sanctuary policies argue that they keep communities safe by fostering trust between immigrant communities and law enforcement. What I thought when I read that was if you are an illegal immigrant who is not going to commit a crime, whether you
doesn't
live in a
affect you then.
sanctuary city or not, you are going to be someone who doesn't commit a crime. If you're an illegal immigrant who is likely to commit a crime, it doesn't matter where you live, you're going to commit a crime there.
Yep.
So, like, the label of the city doesn't make any sense. My other point is that every single Democrat, this makes me so livid. You can go back 30 years and find hundreds of videos of Democrats yelling and screaming about how we need to secure the borders, stop illegal immigration, and they all have giant walled electric fences. Barbara Streisand has pit bulls. I mean, securing their homes. So their homes are secure. So they control who comes in and out. And if someone broke a law going into their house, best you believe that person would be tried to the fullest offense in court. But yet, when it comes to our country and their job, they are elected to protect us. They say, open the borders, give away all the free health care, provide it to the whole world. Anyone can come here. I don't care where the money comes from because I live in my rich house and I'm making millions of dollars off your taxpayers.
Oh, they're not going to say anything when their entire tent cities of homeless people living in Los Angeles. It
Living on the
doesn't bother West LA or doesn't bother anyone living on the coast because they're not going to smell it. But that's what's happening. You're offering all this free stuff, free healthcare and everything else, and you have tent cities of homeless people, and you're telling me that you can't take. This goes
Why are
back
we
down
not
to
moving the tent cities to the nice areas?
I don't know.
They
but
probably
this
have
comes,
really nice
this comes back
trees
down
with
to
some
the,
Do you remember when-
this comes back
shade
down to
and-
the fundamental thing. If you can't take care of your homeless, if you can't take care of the widows, if you can't take care of the orphans, what are you doing?
Well, I mean,
that's a fundamental thing. If you can't take care of that bottom base, you can't do anything right. If you can't clean your room, you can't solve global warming. Like, these are just fundamental things.
I mean, but a lot of it's just bad
metaphors.
policy that causes those problems. And I mean, and it's not. We can't. I don't want to say you don't just blame illegal immigrants for all of these issues, but it's just
not,
like
yeah.
there's a lot of, I think, bad economic policies, the stuff that nobody likes to sit around and talk about that cause these problems. But it is important sometimes that maybe we do need to sit around and talk about taxes and interest rates.
I don't even think it is an economic problem. I truly believe the Democrats are trying to find a big enough voting block so that
Yes.
they're able to beat Trump in 2020.
Yes.
I think the reason why they're talking about
And
the
he's
immigration
stopping it, and they are
and they're
losing
losing
their
and they're
minds.
they have to go against
so
whatever
fun.
Trump is saying. And so now they're going against, they're talking about the immigration thing. They're talking about reparations for slavery.
I know.
And that is, and I
Which
think
is already affirmative action.
and then I think to myself, how on earth? And that's because they're trying to get the black vote back and get that pocket back. When you have, like, I think it's Blexit, Blaxit. Blexit. That's, again, it's a very.
It's becoming so obvious and blatant and racist.
And again, this
and
is one of
demeaning.
the biggest statistics that people forget. The Republicans only have to get 15% of the black vote, and we win every election in a landslide. Something is going to happen in 2020. Hear my words. In 2020,
Write this down.
Trump is going to win in the biggest electoral college victory ever. And the reason why I say that is because there are more than 15 states out there that have said if whoever wins the popular vote gets their electoral votes, I will drink a bottle of red wine the day that I see Oregon give their electoral college votes to Trump because they passed a law that said whoever wins the popular vote wins their electoral college. You're going to have a blue state giving their votes to Trump, a Republican, because of a law they passed 2 years ago because they were
you think
so
that
upset.
many people in Oregon are going to vote for Trump?
No, that's the beauty of
But
it.
you don't think-
It's the U.S. popular vote. It's not whoever wins in Oregon. Oregon will give up their electoral colleges whoever wins the popular vote in the nation.
Which is stupid
What?
because you pretty
When
much
did that happen?
you pretty much
2
eliminated
weeks ago.
the worth
just
of
gave
the
up your
value of
votes.
everybody's vote. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
So
yeah, why
whoever
even
wins the US
why vote if you're
Wait,
Yeah.
whoever
Exactly.
wins the U.S. popular vote, they voted in that state to give their entire electoral college to whoever wins the U.S.?
Yes, if you type
Not
it
their
in,
state?
and it's multiple states have done this now that they're pushing to where whoever
Is
wins the
that
popular
legal?
vote
How did they do
in
that?
their state, and now
Because they want to eliminate the electoral college.
Or
Their
yeah.
goal is to abolish the electoral college.
They
And
don't want Trump to win, knowing that he's going to win probably the electoral college because of the way the Republicans have the
Right.
map now. So California, Washington, some of the other really Democratic states are trying to figure out a way to that it forces whoever wins the popular vote wins the electoral college from that state. So that day when Trump wins 2020 and the popular vote, and you see blue could be states have to give up their electoral college because of a vote that they passed 2 years ago, is going to be the most
Can we
beautiful
talk about
thing
how
ever.
people were lining up for Orlando this morning?
40 hours in advance.
This morning.
It's
That's nuts to me, by the way, because there is nothing that can happen at the Amway Center that is going to get me
You're not gonna see on
to
TV.
line up on Monday for a Tuesday night event and then have to fight through the protests and the traffic to go past all of that. Are you kidding me? No, I'm staying in
It's
Tampa.
I think that's a
Orlando
problem.
on a
I
weekend.
think-
I'm not doing that on a normal weekend in Orlando.
I think that's a problem actually that we should probably talk about another time. But should there be a law about when you can start lining up for things like Black Friday?
I
people will
think
start-
so.
No, I think that's too much government
No
regulation.
Yes, we
more
don't need that.
laws.
No more laws.
I just don't like lines.
No more.
Let's talk about the Warrior Games coming to Tampa
Yes.
on Friday. Yay!
Yes.
We need people in the stands. So if you have
Yes.
time, look up the schedule online.
Well, let's go ahead and start wrapping it up with that. Cassie, you want to go into that and give us a little bit of background on
Head
Warrior
volunteer.
Games?
I need the
and-
schedule and stuff.
The
here.
Warrior Games, not to be confused with the Warrior Dash. I was telling someone that this morning. They go, "Is that thing where you run through the mud?" No, it's the Warrior Games. So it's injured service members, and it's once a year. It's in a different state, and this year we got it in Tampa. And our fabulous city of Tampa has donated a lot of the locations so that it's really kept them, what did he say, under budget for the first time ever.
Yeah.
First time ever.
And so they have plenty of volunteers, but what the people need are people in the stands cheering on the contestants because
Yep.
they've trained for a whole year and it's a big deal to them. So
Yeah, very much so. And so Tampa Bay Young Republicans, we're going to be out in the stands for Saturday's opening games. I forget who the person is that's singing.
Hunter
country
Hayes?
singer. or
Hunter
something,
Hayes.
It's not like you all don't have magical devices that would give you this information.
It doesn't have it on
but-
the schedule. It just says opening ceremonies.
I think it's on I think it's on the Amalie Arena's Facebook page if you go into their events section. But I believe Hunter Hayes is opening, and then there's a female country artist who's doing the closing events.
But what's
following week.
Sarah something?
Yeah.
No.
No, I can see her face. I don't listen to country music. That's the
But
problem.
what's really great is because they stayed under budget, it is really inexpensive for you to go ahead and purchase a ticket on Ticketmaster for the opening or the closing ceremonies. I believe they're about $10 or $12 a piece after you pay the fees. Add that up,
Why are you
la-di-da-di-da.
charging me $22?
Yeah, Cal's,
Say that.
Jake.
yeah, Jody's gonna be
Fees.
scalping tickets outside the
That's
arena.
right. We have extras because TBYR. So we'll all be there cheering them on Saturday. So we really encourage everybody to get out there and enjoy it. Also, the games run for the rest of the week. There are so many different things. Cycling and wheelchair tennis and archery and
rugby?
the rugby one.
Oh, that sounds
yes, he said was supposed
And
to be really
basketball.
good.
Basketball.
Let me
Basketball,
just-
that's what popular.
Yes.
Let me just add in that you would definitely have known about this a month ago if you would have come to a TBYR meeting.
That's right.
Who,
Shameless plug.
that's not a shameless plug at all. This is on the TBYR's Facebook page. So yeah, come join TBYR. You would know about this kind of stuff. Next week on Tuesday, we have a great session. We're going to have a legislative update from 3 of our elected officials in Hillsborough, possibly 4 or 5, depending on their scheduling. So I highly encourage everybody that is, if you actually enjoy what we're doing, what we're talking about, to get more involved. Come out to our meeting and come support us on Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Stone Soup Company. It's going to be the first time we're doing it there. We'll see how it goes. And they have some good soup at least. So we'll, that's my ending. That's what my
Yeah,
is going to be.
remind me to tell you about me getting into a fight with the owner of Stone Soup Company over his Cuban sandwich.
Oh, is it delicious or not delicious?
Well, he claims it's really good. I haven't had it, but it actually had nothing to do with the quality of his food. And we got into this huge Facebook fight for no reason. But
So you're not
We've all-
coming on Tuesday.
So don't order any
listen,
food.
I'm the reason we got the room. All right,
Please order.
calm
You're
down
also
now.
the reason we might lose the room.
Anyhow,
Afterwards?
Oh, yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Currently live.
Yeah.
so no, it's all fine. It was a long time ago, and actually we have a mutual friend whom he dated. So and she kind of helped make the peace. So we're all good now, and that's why we're going to be meeting there this month. But I did confirm Hunter Hayes is going to be doing the opening ceremony for the Department of Defense Warrior Games. Again, look them up on Facebook, Warrior Games, or anywhere online. And then Sarah Evans will be doing the closing ceremony. And while those 2 events are very cool, I know Colonel Harbaugh would appreciate us coming out to a lot of the sporting events. Again, there's going to be all kinds of archery and cycling and the wheelchair basketball and rugby. And it's just an insane amount of games. And we're incredibly fortunate to be able to host it here in Tampa, and the generosity that they've received, not only in terms of manpower, for volunteers and resources has also been incredibly overwhelming. We really kind of raised the bar. And so this is going to be something really special, and even events like this, have a huge impact on the economy. There are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of people coming from around the world, and I do
John
mean
Stewart's
around the
coming
world.
too, right?
That's right.
Jon Stewart's
Jon
hosting
Stewart's one of the
it.
hosts,
He's
yeah.
the host.
Yeah, and so Jon Stewart's going to be the master of ceremonies, and he's going to be here for that week. And one of the cool things is that it's not just our own veterans. There's going to be veterans from around the world coming. So this is truly an international competition, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go ahead and start going around the corner and wrapping this up. Let's see. Start with the leg chairs.
So inappropriate. Stop being a toxic masculine
Oh my
man.
God. Such a horrible, horrible man.
Sit there and enjoy it.
All right. Jody. Jody just likes to throw the fuel on the fire. All right, so Parker, let's see. Let's go around and do a quick prediction. After the two debates coming up in at the end of the month, right? It's a 2-day. I think it's Thursday and Friday, the 26th and 27th, I believe. All right. Anyway, so after the debates, how many candidates do you think are going to be left running for president on the Democratic ticket?
18.
Wait, go ahead. 'Cause I didn't have you on camera.
Oh, 18.
All right, so
I think
somebody
you're stubborn.
somebody write this down. 18. All right, Parker says 18. Cassie.
Within 2 weeks, there will be 5.
5. Wow, that's bold. That's a bold prediction. All right, Babyface.
I think we're gonna be at, let's say, 15. I think they're gonna stay in for a little
Yeah.
bit longer. It's only the first debate.
That's a big drop
Yeah.
though, because there's like what 24, I believe.
Well,
Well, are we
And
counting?
most
Wait.
of them
Are
are
we
less than
counting all?
1%
Are we
right
counting
now.
all 24? Or are we counting the only ones that they allowed on the stage?
There's 2 days of debates.
There's
It's
so
20
it's,
on-
Yeah,
it's
what's
20
the-
because I was counting from 20, not 24.
20 on stage.
I think you count all of them.
It says there's only
Because-
20 spots on stage.
But they don't count them enough to care about putting them on stage. So should we care about them enough to put them on in this little poll?
Yeah.
But we're still going by total number.
Okay,
I think we, because
So
again,
if it's 24, then
the
I'm going to say 20.
the debate might reveal that maybe some of these people who weren't even able to make it in the debate don't need to be there in the first place.
I think that everybody that's not in the debate is not going to be in the race. If it's 24, then I'm going to say it's probably 20.
20. All right.
Okay, so I think they all suck. So I'm going to say it goes down to 6.
6. All right, Jody with 6.
These people want
Yeah,
jobs.
it's like the Price is Right over here
These
with you
people
and
want
Cassie.
jobs afterwards. Are you
You're
kidding me?
fine.
They are
I
going
want to be like close but not
2
over.
weeks after the
$1,
debate,
Bob.
there will be 5.
If they want to go on that second debate, are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're
Every
gonna-
single one of these people are vying
Do
for
we not
a job in the
remember
cabinet.
2016 with
For
how many
my sub-op
Republicans
to
we
go
had?
on,
They
because I think it's
stayed
my
for a
turn
long
to say
time.
something.
Yeah.
But it's perfectly fine. I don't
What
need to
are
say
you
anything.
Hey, you talked.
Hi, guys.
So what is your prediction?
My
It's not like he didn't talk the entire first portion of the show.
He gave us a good lesson.
Yeah, I learned a lot today.
Damn, Jake, you turned the table on me real quick.
We should start with all that international stuff first so
Get
he
it out
knows.
of the
We should.
way.
I don't know, we know.
Like current
Taxes
events with
crap
Anibal
out
is the
way
first 15 minutes of every
Let's
podcast.
let's
He needs
lose
his
all of
own
our
banner.
audience and then start the fun stuff.
Everyone knows.
It's Anibel's attic.
What's going on in Anibal's attic
Oh
tonight?
my gosh.
Almond milk.
Yeah.
It's so difficult
I'm with
to
you on the
find it
almond milk, though.
in
I
the
am.
grocery
I am.
store.
I don't even like it, but it's hard
It's
to
not
find.
difficult.
It's not red milk.
In certain
So-
stores, it's
What? How
hard to
many
find.
Oh
people
my
are going
God.
to be in the debate? Let's end this
So,
so she can go watch The
you
Bachelor.
said
I'm trying to
18,
get back to The
correct?
Bachelor.
I said if it's 24, then we're gonna get down to 20.
So I'm gonna say 19.
Okay.
Because you say 20, and the reason why I say that is because again, I agree. All these people want jobs, and so they're gonna keep on pushing until I want to say until October.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the world that's gonna knock them out until October, besides them running out of money.
Second or third debates is when I think you're gonna see more drops.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Even the ones with less than 1%, or that like almost everybody's got
they're-
at least $1 million.
Yeah.
Well,
That
yeah.
is enough
But
to
when
like
you have
get you to
1%,
Won't get you to
why
Iowa.
keep running?
There's so many of
Because
less
they
than
want
1%.
jobs, and if the more
They
They
wanna
want to
It's
write, they want to write books,
exposure.
and they want to get TV jobs.
I
and
mean,
they
look
want
at
to-
our local
And
people.
there's only
They
accuse
Accuse a
Right.
man of toxic masculinity that didn't do anything wrong.
Well,
Out of
no-
the 24, there's only 8 with more than 1%.
But if these people end up, let's say you have if you're carrying 10% or 15%, that is a pretty popular. That's a
Yeah.
lot of people in the
That's at
country
least 10,000.
to put on a vice president ticket or put in a cabinet or
Yeah.
something like that. So that's what these people are doing.
Well, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but Barack Obama wasn't a front runner.
No.
When he ran in 2008.
Neither was McCain.
And obviously that ended up not being the case down the road. But I don't think he was even top 5 for a long time in that campaign. And then eventually, because again, it was supposed to be Hillary's show, it was supposed to be Joe Biden's show, and instead we got President
Are you
Obama.
playing Keanu Reeves, Jake?
You better keep that hand a little back.
And I think
Michelle's
that-
watching.
That's the Brady.
And I think that's where I think people are forgetting.
That's the Brady.
Just because Joe Biden is number 1 right now means absolutely
No, it doesn't mean
nothing.
anything, yeah.
The last
And their
time
polls are
someone
BS
started
anyway.
at number 1 and ended at the presidency is
JFK?
non-existent.
I'm kidding.
Well, and let's
No, I just made that up. 'Cause
I gave you so
I'm from
much.
Cape Cod.
Well, let's be clear. Right now, the people who are putting out all this dirt on Joe Biden is the left. It is the other presidential campaigns that see him as the front runner and they're trying to knock him off his pedestal.
Yeah.
Or they're us putting funny Joe Biden memes on our page. So
Again,
it's one of the
Our
two.
memes aren't bringing him down. It's the reality news coverage of
Again,
him.
Joe Biden will be the campaign of 1,000 memes. Like that's how he will
I
die.
expect the meme to be the deciding factor in all
Instead
of
of
these
Swift,
things.
And the rest
what
of the
was it?
elections
Swift
from
water
here on
or
out.
Swift
Well, at least for right now.
something that took out
Swift voting.
Swift voting
Yeah.
is considered the thing when someone drops negative and it ruins someone's campaign. I think it'll be the meme. I think the meme will be and whatever name Trump gives that candidate.
Oh, the nicknames are going to be epic.
Oh my god.
Do you think that do you
he's
think
gonna
at first?
tweet daily on the debates?
Oh, he has to
Oh
live
my
tweet them.
God.
He has to live tweet them.
Does
The
he
same-
live tweet the debates?
He will.
I hope he does.
We'll have
I
it
hope he
running
does.
Yeah.
up here.
We need
'Cause
to-
this time he's
we
the
need to have a
president,
watch
so, like,
party
he
or
can.
something.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait. What nights is it? I need to put that on my
It's
calendar.
Thursday and
26 and
Friday.
27.
I think either 26, 27, or 27, 28. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday.
If- when
whatever
they
that
get-
whatever that last week is 26. And it's Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh,
Do
that-
you guys want to put something together? Probably not these ones because there's 2 of them. There's too many people. We can't
Maybe
hear
we could
right
just
now.
do the
But maybe
first
the
one.
next
Like the
we
main
do the-
one.
Do the
Let's
main
find
one.
out-
Let's do the
important
one with
the one with Biden.
But they both, but they both have important people. Don't they? Didn't they
Is
split
Biden
them
not
kind
going
of?
to this?
Is
next
it not
one?
like the
One of
first?
them.
Is
No,
it
they
top
split
half
them
Biden?
randomly.
One and
Oh,
10
random.
the other.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's random. And I think they try to have some big people in both.
That
So
way
it's
you
not
watch
all
them
Yeah,
both.
because
one
like
all the
2016, it was like top half, bottom
Yeah.
half.
So maybe we won't do a live drinking game until the second or third. debate.
When it
We're
gets
gonna
down
die.
a little bit, because let's be honest,
It's too much right now. We can't
Yeah.
even make jokes for everybody because we don't even know who these people are.
And we'll need a
No.
good location to do it. Maybe David off, and we can sit up there.
No,
and
it's
have
small.
drinks.
Hey, who knows? The mayor of Miramar, Florida, could be the Democratic nominee for the
Who?
presidency.
We
Exactly.
have a city called Miramar.
Yes.
It's down by Fort Myers, right?
Fort Lauderdale, close.
Oh,
Just opposite coast.
it's all the wrong
You got
thing.
the fort.
Fort.
All right.
All right, we got to close out here.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh wait, I would say one thing. Can we all say thank you to the service of our dear beloved press secretary
Yes.
Oh, brother.
Larry Sanders.
Oh, yeah, we never
Huckabee.
brought
Thank
that
you
up.
for your service.
Thank
You
you for
did a
your
great
service.
job.
Hardest
up
job in the
there.
country.
I love
know
what?
the
Did it for a long
pearls. The
time.
pearls were amazing.
You know, you worked off those memes. It
Yes.
was good.
She did a great job.
We
Told
appreciated
those
you.
Horrible reporters, what's up?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I loved it.
And you gave, with just, that watching Whoopi Goldberg
She was
today
epic.
was just.
That was appointment viewing. I mean, that to me was worth, I loved watching her press conference.
The
Me
way she
too.
would push back. Oh my gosh.
She was
I
so
loved it.
smart.
I love
She's
it.
young. She's a mom. Yeah.
We need someone more
So
like
who's-
her.
I want to be
Who's
your
next?
friend. Me, I want to do
No,
it.
no. Who wants the double?
You would be a
I want
great
that job.
press secretary.
That is a hard job. Can we understand how difficult that is?
Oh my God.
There's 1% of people that can even get on
I'm
camera.
not smart
And
enough,
then-
but I would love it if I was.
And then it's not that you're not smart enough. It's that there is a lot that goes into that to have to take that kind of heat every day
That I could handle.
in national spotlight on camera and stay composed.
Cassie's got it. Look at her.
Cassie, apply.
She's on it.
Teachers.
should apply.
Teachers
I
are.
could do it.
We would
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
back you.
But I'm just saying
Because
that
it
there's
doesn't matter.
1% of people.
Yeah.
that
People
I
say
think-
it's not a reflection of who you are, it's a reflection of who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that it's a very hard job for most people to even fathom doing.
I recommend
it.
Candace Owens as the next press secretary.
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh, that would really make people's heads
Yes.
I feel
explode.
like she'd have to take a pay
Let's
cut.
tag her.
She
to
would have to
share
take a
it.
pay cut, yeah.
Conservative.
Oh my gosh.
Couldn't she just do it for free as fun? I think she would like it as fun. I think she would have
She'd be
so
good.
much fun
She would
with
enjoy it
that.
so much.
The fire that would come out of those press conferences, those White House press briefings would be amazing.
When we actually have.
All
So
right.
good. They need to just make it a sitcom. Like,
Oh my God.
We did. It's
Yeah.
called The West Wing.
It's called Saturday Night Live.
No. It's called CNN. Thank you very much.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that dumpster fire?
All right. We're wrapping up on that note. Thank you so much for watching The Yard Sign. Again, Facebook.com/The Yard Sign, Twitter.com/The Yard Sign, and of course, you've also probably been watching this on Facebook.com/TBYRs, which is the Tampa Bay Young Republicans. So make sure you look them up, follow them as well, and make sure to get your tickets for the Warrior games. We'll see you back again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for watching. Say bye, everybody.
Bye. I got to say dumpster
is
fire.
it
at
2
the
weeks
end.
or 1 week?
Have we cut off all of the mics yet?